Today, we're going to be checking out the Chug Preamp pedal from Solar Guitars. So I'm a big fan of Solar. I've had a bunch of their guitars. I use them all the time on the channel. My red Solar being something that's prominent on this channel all the time. And I was stoked, along with basically all of guitar internet people, to see that Solar was getting into the pedal game and they were starting off with a high gain preamp. Now, there aren't a ton of high gain modern metal preamps. There's a lot of distortions, but not a lot of preamps. There's kind of I think the Tight Metal and the Ceres has been pretty dominant for a long time. So it was kind of cool and refreshing to see something else come out. Now, this thing is chock full of a lot of good ideas, and it actually reminds me a lot of when I owned a Randall Satan, Ola's old signature model with Randall, because it has an overall gain control, but then you also have kind of like a low end gain and an upper end gain. To control how much saturations are on those spectrums, kind of like the girth and grind controls on a Randall Satan. And what this allows you to do is you can actually cut back on the low end gain, because that's where a lot of kind of the mud and lack of clarity comes from, while pumping kind of the upper end, like upper mid kind of area gain, which gets you all that clarity and pick attack and aggressiveness. And it works beautifully. You get immediately this super tight, really modern, and just cutting sound. Now, there aren't buckets of gain on tap. It's pretty dry, just like with the Randall Satan, although the amount of gain there is exactly as much as you need and nothing more, and it sounds super awesome sitting in a mix. A couple of other good ideas that this thing has is it also has essentially resonance and presence controls, or depth. This is great because even a lot of the preamp pedals out there, a lot of them will have a presence control, but they won't have a depth control. And the depth control really helps this thing feel right, because you can get that nice, clean low end. You can have it sound full without it being muddy. And you can really find that sweet spot of where you want it for like the palm mutes to kind of just feel good and, chug. And the presence, of course, is super important for any preamp pedal, so you can get the top end sounding right, everything poking out the way it should be, and just sounding, correct and not muffled or like there's a blanket over the speaker or anything. And then, of course, you have your low, mid, high controls, your volume. But something else that's pretty cool that's in this thing that I don't think a lot of modern metal preamps have is it has a built-in noise gate. And what's cool too is you can see when it's on and off. You'll be able to see it with the LED. So I'll dial that in and you can hear that. And it can go all the way from just, making sure that everything's cleaned up. There's no, hiss from the gain, all the way up to just that super tight, kind of like almost cutting off the note a little bit, like, a kind of modern genty thing if you need that. The only thing I really wish this thing did have was top mount jacks. I think that was a bit of a miss on the part of Solar. It has side jacks, but I mean, it's definitely not a deal breaker. And on top of that, it's made out of a super cool, it's like a kind of cut metal, like the logo is actually engraved. The logo and the Chug, it's like graved or like cut out. The whole thing feels like a really sturdy metal box. It's actually kind of sharp on the corners too, so careful when you're stepping on it. Just all in all, well made, sounds great. So we're going to hear this go into my KSR PA50, and that's going to be going into my Two Notes Captor X with a blend of my DV77 and VM1265 speakers. Then we're going to hear that outside of a mix with that same setup. Let's check it out.
Well, it's true.
So it's very tight, very aggressive, super modern. Almost kind of gives me like 5150, 6505 vibes, but just drier and tighter. Especially because I like to like just kind of push the treble, mid, and bass around like maybe the bass around 5, but the other two around 6 o'clock, which is always what I liked on like a 6505 or an old school 5150. But like I said, just tighter, drier, more modern. I know it's been divisive with some people. I like the name Chug. I'm a part of the Chug Life group. I mean, it's such a good word to describe what you're doing. And honestly, I think it was such a brilliant piece of marketing to call this thing the Chug. I'm stoked to have it. I think other people should be checking it out. This thing sounds rad. Like you could record with this. This is definitely giggable and then some. Tons of good ideas in this thing that I'm not seeing in other preamp pedals, and it eliminates the need for other pedals. You wouldn't need an overdrive with this. You wouldn't need a gate, anything like that. So I think Ola had a bunch of really good ideas in this thing, and I'm stoked with how it came out. Anyway, I'm gonna have a link down below so you can check this out or anything else from Solar. Thanks for watching. Stay metal.